All right, everybody, welcome to the Fluent. I'm excited. This week, David Weiss, who is Flat Earth Dave, right? FlatEarthDave.com. Is that correct for
That
those
is
that don't know who you are?
correct. You can find all my information at FlatEarthDave.com. Life-changing information there if you have the courage to look and think.
So the reason that you're here, so everyone knows I've been doing a lot over the years. It's been sports, but every couple of episodes, you'll hear me talk about, did we really land on the moon? Is the earth really flat? There's JFK, was it a lone shooter? I am obsessed with these conspiracies, and I say it in quotes because obviously they're a conspiracy because some believe them to be true and some believe them to be false. I did an episode about the earth being flat, which is, yeah, go right ahead.
Let me ask you a question. You're into conspiracies. Now, conspiracy definition is two or more people getting together to do something for their own benefit. Do you think that exists in the world? Of course, right?
Of course.
It happens. You and I are in a conspiracy right now to do a podcast for our own benefit. Okay. So are you a conspiracy theorist or are you a conspiracy analyst?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel that I might be somewhere in the middle because it depends on, I don't want to call myself a theorist because I don't dive deep enough into most of them.
But you're analyzing them. If you look into them, you're analyzing them. And like conspiracy theory, I don't just go read it and go, or watch it and go, oh, that's true. I look at it and use my common sense, right? They didn't teach us to use common sense in school. They taught us to follow nonsense. And that's all in the textbooks. We'll get into that. So conspiracy analyst, I like it.
So, okay, conspiracy analyst here, Anthony K of the Fluent. So that's why you're here. So I did a brief segment. We talk about it for 5 minutes. We give kind of the high level what we've heard, and obviously why it's related to sports and why that in that particular episode it came up was Kyrie Irving. Obviously, right. Everyone knows him and how he at least came out. I think he's walked that back a little bit. Well, so I want to dive into this with you. So I don't even know where to begin.
Let's begin with Kyrie. So
right.
By the time we're done with this podcast, for those of you that haven't tuned out already or unsubscribed, I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Just listen to the show, provide me with 1 globe proof, and I give you 3 Bitcoins. Kyrie Irving, I guess basketball players have some free time to do some conspiracy analyzing, and he found the flat earth. And he mentioned it. Well, the corporations, the real governments of this world, they all know. And when he came out, he influences a lot of kids, a lot of young minds. And he had to walk it back. Otherwise, all of his sponsors were going to walk out. So he walked it back because of money. Now, you can say, well, did he sell out? Kyrie's in an interesting spot. He put it out there. Should he destroy his life over it? Maybe not. Maybe so. But it's out there, and and now people are looking into it. And the more, here's the thing, and I'll throw it back to you. Once you look into it, really look into it, and when I say look into it, if you Google flat Earth, forget it. The controllers, Googles, they're going to deliver you nonsense. They're hiding all of the information, and I'm going to show you how to find that information. And then I always like to say, don't believe anything I say on the show. I'm just pointing towards a bunch of doors that you've never seen before. I'm showing you how to look at something that you thought, well, boats go over the horizon, therefore the earth is a globe. No, that's programming. Okay. I'm going to show you why boats disappear into the distance and why they didn't go over a physical horizon. So back to you.
So let's just dive right in. As I mentioned, we did a 5-minute segment, talked about it. We bounced a couple of ideas back and forth, but I don't know for sure. I haven't been to space. I haven't seen it. You're absolutely correct. Everything comes from the media, and I'm the first one to admit news isn't really news. They're telling us what narrative they want us to believe. I believe school.
News.
If I may, because you mentioned school doesn't teach you to critically think, and I've always said school teaches you to read, remember, and regurgitate.
Yes, and if you do it really well, you get to become the teacher of the next generation.
Right. So I do have some of that in me that I'm like, I don't necessarily trust everything everybody says. What I don't have, because I've just been the proof I've been shown has always been the world is a globe. Here's the globe. It's round. The moon is round. The sun is round. Everything's round. It makes sense in the sense that when we talk about gravity, right, the spherical energy, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not the expert on this stuff. When they say it all into a nice little package, it makes sense to me. So I guess I'm asking you, where do you start? So if you were to say, okay, I'm going to open some doors for you, what's the first door we're opening?
So many. The things that not the globe believers have in common. They have two things in common. One, they don't know their own model, and two, they don't know. They have a false idea of what the flat Earth is. If you Google flat Earth, this is the image that people have. Oh, flat Earthers think we're a disc and all the other planets are round. And there's another one where all the planets are flat. Okay, that's called a false dichotomy, right? It's showing you a heliocentric fake system and a flat Earth fake system. Both of them are fake, and you think that you have to choose between the two, but no flat Earther believes any of this. You know, if you watch any mainstream, report on flat Earth, they'll show you this, turn-up disc floating in space. No flat Earther believes that. This is nonsense. This is mixing two different models together. Okay, so what is the heliocentric model? Now I'm going to ask you some questions, and I don't know how much research you've done, but I'm guessing you're going to get every answer wrong. You might get one right, but I got them all wrong when I was asked. Okay. How fast is the Earth spinning at the equator?
I have no idea.
Right, and that's the easiest question. It's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Right, it's orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, 66,600. They say, funny number. Or chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, and that entire system's moving sideways at millions and millions of miles per hour. Okay, all of this is going on, but we don't notice everything. And now everyone's going, well, I'm in an airplane. I could drink water and I could walk to the bathroom, no problem. And I say, well, if you want to compare that to the Earth, first you have to double the speed of the airplane. Then you have to remove the outside shell of the airplane because we're not in a shell on the heliocentric system. And then you have to nosedive down at a mile per minute as fast as a free-falling skydiver just to follow the curve of the Earth.
Okay.
And then tell me how your glass of water is doing. Okay. Okay. So the heliocentric system is impossible when you look at any of the details. People say flat earthers, they're science deniers. No, we're science users. Heliocentrists just use the word science. I say, what's your best proof of the globe? They go, physics, science. I'm like, no. What physics? What science? Well, the sun's 93 million miles away. How did you figure that out? Do you know how they figured that out? Nobody knows. Other than they assumed Venus, that light we see in the sky, is the same size as Earth. And when it transited the sun one day, somebody on the East Coast, somebody on the West Coast watched at the same time. They timed it. It was different times. They did some perfectly good math, and they figured out that the sun's 93 million miles away. Well, Venus...
I was going to say, mathematician put a bunch of numbers. Is the easiest way that I could explain.
Yeah. They put a bunch of numbers in, but they used an assumption. Like if I said, hey, if you have $10 million in the bank and I double it every day for the next 3 days, tomorrow you have 20 million and the next day you have 40 million. So you have $40 million in the bank. There's something wrong with that equation. I assume something at the beginning. Okay. So assuming that Venus, that light we see in the sky that no one's even proven is a physical thing, and is the same size as Earth, is just a ridiculous, absolute, absurd assumption. So let's just talk about the speeds for a second, right? So again, if we're going 1,000, if you're going 100 miles an hour, 500 miles an hour in a car, in an airplane, in a straight line, level, no problem. You're already going that speed. You're in an enclosed system, right? But if you're in that car and you have a dinner plate filled with water to the brim, if that car slows up or turns the slightest bit, the water is going to slosh right off, right? And that's because turning is change in trajectory, and that's equal to acceleration. So this is the hypersonic sled track. It's going to go by a Mach 8.6. Watch it again. Okay. Mach 8.6. You can't even see it. Here it comes and gone. Okay. You have to believe in the heliocentric system that we are traveling 10 times faster than that in an elliptical orbit around the sun. And we're chasing the sun at 100 times faster than this. You can't even imagine this speed, and you're watching it. But imagine 10 times and 100 times that traveling in two different directions at once. And remember, we're spinning faster than the speed of sound. But when we go out into nature, we see this. We see beautiful, calm, flat water. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Okay. So
is that not the theory, I guess, or whatever, is that all that spinning is creating that kind of gravitational pull that holds everything in place? And still, is that, when I looked it up, that's one of the things that I saw come up.
I haven't heard that one. When you spin, if I had water on this and I spun it, the water's going to fly off. Centrifugal force, right?
Right, but it's that energy that brings in gravity that holds it there. That's one of the many things I saw when I was looking this up.
This is all pseudoscience, made up nonsense. They tell us the gravity of the Earth, the size of the Earth is so big that it attracts everything to the center. So I'm standing here and the bottoms of my feet are attracted to the center of the Earth. And there's somebody in Australia who's antipodal to me. His feet are facing my feet and he's being pulled to the center of the Earth. That's absolute insanity, okay, to believe that. There's upside down water and cruise ships and cargo ships. None of that makes sense. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. Let's just finish this right here. So what is containing water? Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, scientifically, testably, measurably, provably flat. And people go, what about a raindrop or what about a grain of rice? Water will stick to it. That's not a large body of water. That's just surface tension you're talking about. So what contains water? Water needs a container. If you had a bathtub and you got rid of the bathtub, well, the water's gone also. The lake that we're looking at right here, the shoreline of the lake is consistently higher than the surface of the lake. It's containing the water. That's the container. Okay. Change that, make that lake a bigger lake. Now let's look at the world pond. Okay. The world pond is all of the oceans of the world. All of the oceans of the world. Well, wait, let me back up a little second. They tell us Antarctica is the highest continent on Earth. Did you know that? They tell us Antarctica, it's a continent at the bottom of the Earth, 10 to 13,000 miles in circumference. And its average land mass is higher than all of the other land masses on the Earth. I always found that interesting. That's what they tell us. Okay. But if you look for photos of Antarctica from space, you only get cartoons. There's no even high altitude airplane footage because that's what we're getting for the rest of the Earth. But there's nothing of the center of Antarctica. So getting back to the lake analogy, if you expand your view of the world, all of the oceans, we're in a giant pond, right? And the shoreline of our pond that surrounds all of the water is land that's consistently higher. That land is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's the shoreline of our world. We live in here. All of the continents and islands are surrounded by water, but the water, the hot tub, the lake, the pond, the container for this water is Antarctica on the flat Earth plane. This is all flat water. And we can prove, I'll get into it, I'll show you some proofs, where we can see too far. If the Earth was a ball, and this is a boat or a building or whatever, you're getting farther away, it's going to disappear behind the curve, right?
Right.
It's disappearing behind, if I can do like this, it's disappearing behind the curve. And this is a physical horizon right here, right? And so I go behind the curve, I zoom in, you still can't see it because it's a physical curve, right? But in reality, we can see too far. We can see farther than the Earth should allow. They tell us the Earth is 24,901 miles around. But when we look out at the water, we can see things. So using the globe Earth curve calculator, not the flat Earth curve calculator, the globe Earth calculator, they say at 9.4 miles, there should be 56 feet of curvature. Right. But if you're taller, you can see a little farther. But this camera is 1 foot off the ground. So the horizon should be less than 2 miles away, 1.2, I believe, but less than 2. But not only can we see this, we can see the land, the surface of the water for dozens of miles beyond it. Right. So the water in front of this should be lower. The water in back should be lower, but it's all magically just lining up perfectly. So let's put that into a video example. So when you look into the distance, let's say we have a beautiful blue sky and there's cumulus clouds all sitting kind of like on that flat deck and they're 5,000 or 10,000 feet above you. But if you look 25, 30 miles into the distance, they literally touch the water. I can look down Long Island Sound here. I can see the clouds literally touching the water in New York. Okay, that's how it looks to me, but that's just due to perspective. Everything comes together. Now, where it comes together, that's as far as you can see. Now, if I had a super zoom camera, I could zoom in, open that up, and then I could see farther, okay, into the distance. So here we are. We have our horizon. You can't see anything out here, but if I zoomed in and I started making this bigger, all of a sudden you can see there's a boat there. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom out, which is the same as this boat going away. And these little waves in the foreground are going to block the entire boat. See how they're starting to block it from the bottom up? These little waves, like my finger, and the boat's disappearing from the bottom up, and it goes and goes and goes. And if you're watching that on the beach, you go, yep, it's gone over the curve. It's gone. No, it's gone beyond the angular resolution limits of your eyes. And that's how things go into the distance. You with me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm with you 100% so far.
Here's just a little practical example. We got a camera, and there's a matchbox on this table. When I zoom in, there it is. It's kind of, there's like a little mirage here hiding it also, just from the table. I'm not even talking about great distances with atmosphere and stuff. And now you can't see it. Its angular size is too small. It's miraged out a little bit. But if I get up higher, oh, I can see it again. It's right behind the type there. So when you raise yourself up on a flat earth, you're increasing the angular size of your view, and it makes you see farther. But they teach you, oh, you can watch the sunset in Dubai and then go in this building and go up to the top real quick, and then you can watch the sunset again because you're higher. Yeah, it's because you're higher on a flat earth. Let's look at one more thing, and then I think we can put this part to bed. So here's a famous viewing spot in Aluja, France. It's at a church parking lot. And out here, 175 miles away, is Mount Canigou. Mount Canigou, at that distance from that elevation, the top of the highest point of Mount Canigou should be over a half a mile below the curve. Now, if you're a glober, you believe this is the physical horizon, but this is an optical horizon. Okay. Now, the sun migrates in between the two tropics, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay. And twice a year, it lines up with the viewing spot and Mount Canigou right in front. And when it does, it backlights it. The light, the way you would see something, you see me right now because you see the light bouncing off of me. If I turned off all the lights, I'd be gone. So the light that bounces off of Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to push through that thick atmosphere. But when it lines up, all of a sudden it backlights it. And you can see at the top of Mount Canigou right there should be a half a mile or more below the curve. But it's there. Now, the global argument for this is, well, the sun and the mountain are both below the curve, but they're refracting up and magically stopping at eye level. And all of the water in the foreground is doing the same thing, perfectly matching your viewing level. That's absolute insanity. But
so if I can put this into layman's terms, so if I'm here looking at something that's here, I shouldn't be able to see it because there's this curve. But I'm able to see it from here to here, right?
Can you see my mouth? It's below a physical curve. And if we zoomed in, it doesn't help.
But now if I did go higher,
if you went higher,
significantly higher.
Yeah, you might be able to see me, but on a flat earth, it's the same thing. When you increase your view, like when you're looking at a boat in the distance, the bottom of that boat has the smallest angular size. The top of the boat is higher. Okay. And you have a greater view. So you raise yourself up. Now you have a better angle of attack at seeing.
Right. Okay.
See, so let me show you another one. This one will kind of bring it into effect, and then into clarity, and then we can talk about time zones because that's something you mentioned on your show.
I did. I'm going to ask you some questions about time zones, about flight patterns, those types of things, because those are the big ones, right?
My favorite. Let me just show you a quick sunset thing. So this is I call this my flat Earth kitchen. Here's my countertop. Here's a line. And is this line level? Does it look level? Excuse me.
My eye test, yes, it looks level.
It is level, and I proved that it's level. So I'm moving the sun. We're looking at it from an elevated point of view, a celestial point of view. Now, this thing right here, this could be a city skyline, mountains, or just an atmospheric opacity, but I never go below it. Now, I have a camera on the other end looking up at this line as the sun goes away. I'm going to show you from that point of view. Look at the line. Does it look like it's level? If I asked you if it was level, you'd say no.
I would say no. Yeah, it
And
looks
I
like it's
say,
going down.
is it going below this opaque barrier? It
It
kind of looks like
that.
it is.
Yes, it does. Yes.
And that opaque barrier is way above the camera, but it kind of looks like it's at eye level. If it's a little farther away, everything goes to eye level. Now, this is the sun just going away. Now watch compared to a real sunset. This is a real sunset. Here's the sun going away. Here's the sun going away. Look what it's going behind. This is called the atmospheric deck of opacity. It's just where the atmosphere becomes too thick. Not even the sun can push through. And it goes down. It's exactly the same thing. Now, this doesn't always happen because when you look at different sunsets in different conditions, it will look different. Sometimes you won't see it. This is a super clear, dry day in Bulgaria, and you have to ask yourself: is the cameraman falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound on a spinning ball in a space vacuum, or is this just a light within our atmosphere that is moving away? It's just moving away, and it's taking its light with it. It's taking its light with it. Pretty good, right? Pretty interesting. And people go, I've watched a million sunsets and I've never seen one like that, because you're watching it from sea level. You're watching it in humid climates and stuff. Here's another one. Now, this is I performed this with my drone. It was below freezing, super clear day, and the sun in 5 minutes. It was up here. It went down, down, down. Now, if we were spinning, it would just keep on going and set, but it didn't. It got down to this level and it sat here for 10 minutes. And then it sat here. My friends at the beach over here where they saw the sun set from the bottom up 10 minutes ago, but I'm still watching it, and watch what happens. It just gets eaten up into the soup of the atmosphere. The light can't push through anymore, even the brightness. I'm going back and forth here. Okay. Wild, right? That's a wild one.
I can say I've never seen that.
I know, because, well, have you put a drone up when it's freezing cold outside, looked west, and filmed the sun with a 4K camera and then zoomed in on it?
I can barely keep the drone up at the park for about 10 minutes without crashing into something. So no.
Yeah. So that's why you haven't seen it, because we've just recently gotten the tools to do this. Then who the hell's going to think? My fingers were freezing when I was out there. I was like, my fingers were numb trying to film this thing. But this is what you see when you actually take the time to look at these things. So go ahead. Next question.
Yeah, I have so many questions. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to hit. So let's start with you'd showed at the beginning, right? You showed the globe that we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
You've shown kind of these plates that I think when I look up flat earth, you're right. That's what I see is, hey, here's this. What is the actual, what is it because you were saying that's what they want you to believe, but what is the actual flat earth? I know you showed the crust of the earth being Antarctica. So in your model, what does the earth actually look like? The sun, where is it going from where to where? I know I'm probably hitting you with a barrage of questions, but it's because I want to get them out so I don't forget any of them.
Yeah.
So just give me that kind of overview of what it looks like. How does the sun, why is Australia, why is it tomorrow in Australia?
Got it.
Those types of things.
I'm going to hit it all right now.
Yeah.
So we're looking straight down at the flat earth. Okay. This is our world pond. This white area is the shoreline of Antarctica. And what's out here? We don't know. It's off limits, which is also another fascinating thing. So here's Australia. What state are you in?
I call it New York. I'm in Toronto, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'm in Connecticut. So
okay. All right. We're close enough.
I'm right next to New York. So I can see New York City. So here's time zones. Let me turn on the time zones. Time zones. Get on. So wherever the sun is, it's noon. Over here, it's midnight, and then all the other times. So as the sun moves, the sun takes its time zone with it. So I'm here on the East Coast, and right now the sun is rising. It's getting more morning, right? And as the sun comes closer, when something comes closer, it starts out at eye level, but then it gets higher and higher and higher. It's at the same level, right? So as the sun goes around, it arises and then it sets as it goes away. Go down a long road of a streetlight, stand under a streetlight. The streetlight above your head is your summer sun. The street light all the way down the road is your winter sun or your evening sun. Noon sun, morning sun, evening sun. And we'll get into the seasons in a second. It's the same thing for seasons, though.
So can I pause you there and ask?
Yeah.
So in this model, in your model,
yep,
the sun rotates around the Earth.
The sun
don't rotate around the sun.
The sun circles. Oh yeah, the Earth does not move. I showed you that before with the flat water.
I want to make it clear for those that maybe are jumping in, 30
no
minutes
problem.
into this, right?
And for those of you that are also confused, like, what the hell he's talking about flat Earth? 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Listen to hear me out and collect your 3 Bitcoins, because I must be an idiot if I'm talking about flat Earth. And by the way, every flat earther, there's millions of us now. Let me just quickly show you that, and we'll just jump back. These are all the flat earthers that have my app. This is Europe. Okay. This app is showing people how to get around Google algorithms. Here's where we're in the United States. Okay. There's tons of flat earthers. They're everywhere. Right. So, all right, getting back to that. All right. So
an hour might not be enough here, Dave.
Well, we can listen, time flies. I'm happy to come back again. I'm happy to go along with you if you like, whatever you like. Okay. And here's the thing. When I first heard about flat Earth, I banned people from our social media for even suggesting that I look at it. Like, you're done. You're banned for life. You're too stupid to listen to my podcast. And then I was forced to look, and I went in with a closed mind. You have an open mind. I went in with a closed mind. I'm just going to prove the globe and disprove flat Earth and shut these flat-tards up. And for 2 weeks,
I'm smart enough to know that I don't know enough to prove either one. So that's why I'm bringing people like you on to say, okay, make the case for me, so I can I'm see it from the other side. Yeah.
And here's the other thing. It's called appeal to authority. Well, I don't have a PhD. Where'd you get your PhD? The PhDs are the dumbest people on earth. I'm sorry. Right. But, people that are studying astrophysics and all that, it's all made up nonsense. I think it was Michio Kaku that said in the world of astrophysics, they've never predicted a single thing that's coming true. And everything they say is off by a factor of 10 to the 120th power. That's 10 with 120 zeros. That number doesn't even exist. That's a fake number also. I mean, if you knew what 12 zeros did to a number, it's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so
yes, I believe we call that a Googleplex.
Yeah, well, Googleplex, it's absolute insanity. Those are just words. Again,
I know this is All
right, so can you see these yellow lines? The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. I know we've all heard that. Those tropics, I don't really understand it. And the sun migrates 6 months in and then 6 months out, 6 months in and 6 months out. As it goes around, it spirals in and then it spirals out. Okay.
That's where the seasons come from. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I jump forward to, let's say we're in June, it's over the Tropic of Cancer. And that's the height of our summer. That's the closest the sun gets to us. For you in Toronto, the sun, at noon, it's up over there. For me, it's a little higher in the sky because it's a little closer to me, right? And it comes around, and everything inside inside the Tropic of Cancer, we'll call that the Arctic area because it's near the Arctic, right? The sun is arcing around us, okay? Right? Everything in between the two tropics is called the tropics. That's where all the warm places are.
The equator, as we would know it today.
The equator is a line halfway in between
these
two tropics.
Those two,
it's the red line right there.
Yeah.
All right. So now look, it's hot in Miami in June because the sun goes right over Miami. It goes right over Mexico. It's hot in the tropics because that's where the sun always is. It's always in between the tropics. It never gets far away from the tropics, right? It's winter in Australia, but if I jump forward to December, it's now summer in Australia, and now the sun's far away from us. And we have our winter. Imagine you and I outside. I come up to visit you, and we go out to a field. It's frozen. There's ice on it. And for some reason, we're sitting out there in lawn chairs 20 feet apart. And we're trying to drink our beers, but they keep freezing. Right? So somebody comes over and gets a big, beautiful heat lamp and a big post and holds it 15 feet over your head. And all of a sudden, that heat radiates down on you and melts the snow around you, and your beer melts. And you can drink your beer, right? And pretend that's your sun. And I'd say, wow, it's summer where you are. Where's your sun? And you go, oh, the sun's right up there. And I'd look at your sun and go, it's really over there, much lower in the sky. Now, if that person walked over to me, keeping it at 15 feet, I'm going to watch that sun get higher and higher and higher. And when he's over me, now it's up there. It's not over there anymore. But you're going to look and you're going to say, well, it was up here, but now it's over there. It's farther away. It's lower in the sky, simply due to perspective. It's farther away. It's lower in the sky. Did you know that in our northern winter, the sun is in the heliocentric model is 3.5 million miles farther away than it is during our summer?
That doesn't make sense.
During our, wait, no, I'm sorry. I said it backwards. During our summer, it's farther away than it is during our winter. And they say it's all because of the angle, right? The earth is we're tilted away. The northern hemisphere tilted away. So when the sunlight comes in, it spreads over a wider area, right? Although, and then when in our summer, when we're tilted towards it, it's more of a direct shot, right? That's nonsense, because in the summer at sunrise, when the sun is right there on the horizon, the lowest it could possibly be in the sky, I can feel the heat. I can get a tan here in Connecticut. Okay. But in the winter, in December, when the sun is at noon and it's high up in the sky, I can look at the sun. I can't even feel the heat on my face. I can't get a tan.
Like if you would have asked me before you said that, I would have got another question wrong. So maybe I am going to get all these questions wrong. I would have assumed the sun was closer to us in the summer and it's further in the winter, because just from the look of it, the size when I look at it, and obviously and the heat. I wish I could feel the heat in the winter, because you probably get winters like me. I hate them.
Yeah, so it's closer to us.
Yeah,
right. It's closer. So that's how seasons work. That's how time zones work. Right. When the sun is over Connecticut, well, California sees it over Connecticut over there. It's lower in the sky. It's still got to work over 3 time zones to get over to California. Right. And it circles around. Now, then people say, well, what? How does it has to go faster when it's over the Tropic of Capricorn and slower over the Tropic of Cancer? I don't think that the sun that we see is even a physical object at all. I think it's more of a reflection inside of our domed world. Okay. And again, anything above as high as we could reach is speculation. Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, farther than we're allowed to go, is speculation. Right. But we can do scientific experiments to look at these things. So did I answer your question on that?
Yes.
Okay.
The next question is this, and I'm jumping, and I'm going to get back to my next one. I'm saving the plane one for the end.
Oh,
so
okay.
when we went,
good.
You want to do the plane? Okay.
No, it's all right.
No. When I fly from Toronto, so I'm Greek. So when I fly from Toronto to Greece, right, I go east. When I fly from Vancouver to Japan, I fly west. If we're flat, are we not always traveling in the same direction back and forth?
Great questions. Great questions. So let's talk about circumnavigation real quick, and how it works. So let me give you just an analogy. No, I'll just show you. Okay.
So better visuals. Yeah.
Here's our flat Earth, and at the center I have a magnet, and that's our North Pole on our flat Earth. And I got a compass that's pointing. See the needles pointing towards it. I'm trying to push this compass west. And you notice I'm not going in a straight line. I have to keep turning to maintain a heading of west. And I'm going to do the same thing. If I want to go 90 degrees is a circle. This does not prove the earth is flat, because it's the same on a globe. Okay. Now that's interesting. So I come right back to where I started. Now, if I want to dead reckon west, so that stick is pointing west on the compass, ready? And as soon as I start moving, if I don't correct to the north, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. With your back to the north, south is away. Now, if the earth was flat, if the earth was a globe, I should be able to go from Santiago and pop up over in Australia. I should be able to go south this way and pop up over here. And but guess what? No one's ever done it. Nobody, billions of people have circumnavigated east and west. Nobody's ever gone south. If I go south, I just go away. Every straight line is south. I'm going north, 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 north. And as soon as I pass the North Pole, the compass just does a 180. And now I'm heading south. South. Every point, that's south. That's south. That's south. That's south. South, everywhere you go is south. You might be going north for a little bit, but east and west are crazy when you understand them. Look at east and west go on Google Earth, make a point on one point and say, okay, I'm going to go 90 degrees east over here, and then take that other point and say, okay, I'm going to go 270 west, and it won't bring you back to where you started from. It takes you in a whole nother path because
Mm.
the whole globe is absolutely ridiculous. They've taken our map. The best map that we have is what I call the Gleason's map. If I could find it as I speak, and it was in all the schools. Where the heck is my map? It was in all of the schools. Here it is. All the libraries until like the mid 1940s and 50s, 60s. It got taken out. Right here we are. Right, and so you were where did you say you went? You went to Japan's over here. And
Vancouver to Japan, Toronto to Greece. So
boom.
Vancouver, Japan's the easier one.
All right, so you're not allowed to fly over the North Pole. So Vancouver, which is like over here, right?
Yeah, west coast of Canada.
So you kind of just go around west. You can go there, right? Now here, if I'm in New York, I can kind of go west and get there, or I can go east and get there, or I can kind of go north over Alaska and then get there. Okay,
because in this model, right, east and west are still kind of
east and west are circles around the center
because the straight lines are south away from the North Pole.
If you were on a globe and you were a mile from the North Pole, and let's pretend there's an actual pole there, okay? Right. All right. So there's an actual pole there. You're 1 mile from the North Pole, and you want to go west. Well, you have to walk an equidistant circle around that pole on a globe and a flat Earth, and it's 6.28 miles later. You're right back to where you started from.
Right.
And you circumnavigated a globe, a flat Earth, or a sphere. No, you just went in a circle. That's all it is. So let's go to flights, because this is the one this is the one I want. Can I pause you for a second to ask you a quick question though? Because I'm assuming you look at a lot of globes. I've been hearing a lot about even the globes, like the maps that we see are wrong because of the way they're kind of stretching things out from the equator. And, Greenland looks like it's this massive landmass, but it's actually really, really tiny. Does that have anything to do with this as well? Or is that just all maps are wrong? The best map we have is this. Now look how long Australia is. Now they say, well, flat earthers stretched Australia out. Nobody's measured Australia. Australia is huge. There's sections of Australia that are, there's this crazy thing. There's these fences, these heavy duty fences guarded by military. And they say, there's wild dogs there, the dingoes. And then they also say there's nuclear testing that's been done there. Nobody can go in there. Australia could be twice the size that they tell us. And it's cut off from the general public, from anybody. And it's guarded. The fences are maintained. It's crazy. And 99.9% of Australians have no idea about those fences. So they say that the flat Earth map, so you just took the globe and you stretched it out into a disc for your flat tardia. Okay. No, I say we took their map. They took our map. What happened to my thing? Here it is. They took our map and wrapped it around a ball. But when you do, you lose huge sections of the outer southern oceans. So there's uncharted waters out here. There could be more continents out here. Okay. When you wrap it, imagine getting a disc, a circular map like that and wrapping around a sphere. It's all going to be wrinkled at the bottom. So you're going to have to cut out huge pizza slices out of it. And what's out here? There could be other continents within our world, right? Let me just show you one thing, and then we'll go to the flights. So if you look at our world, we live in the Antarctic basin. No one's allowed to go there. But what if our world was set up more like this? Here we are. Here's our sun. It circles around. And then here's Antarctica. And then here are other ponds, right? Let's put a pond in Kansas, right? Kansas is very flat. And it's 25 miles around, we'll say. And at the center of the pond is a magnetic mountain. So your compass will point towards that. So you can circumnavigate on your sailboat, your boat, whatever, go around east or west, no problem. Visit all of the islands. Big lake, 25 miles. It's a big lake. Then one day you say, you know what? I'm going to sail to the edge of the lake, away south, away from the center. And when you get to the edge, you don't fall off. You get to the land, step up on the land, which is higher than the water, Antarctica, and you start walking through Kansas. Well, now let's say you're walking 5 miles away. Well, you can't see the lake anymore, right? And you go 25, 50 miles and 100 miles, and all of a sudden you find another lake. And there's another magnetic mountain there. and there's other land there. Is that another world? Is that extra terrain on our flat Earth? Right? So what if the world was set up like this? What if it was just set up like this? Here's our world, here's Antarctica, and out here, it's like another world around us, right? Extra land, more land, extra territory, extra terrestrial. If somebody lived out here, and came to the inner space, what might we consider them?
Yeah, extraterrestrial. Alien.
From where? An extraterrestrial from where?
Outer space.
Outer space. Bingo. Very good.
Hey, I got one right.
No, I did.
That was an easy one.
Actually, no, because I set it up to be easy, and most people go aliens. I'm like, no, extraterrestrial. So let me show you another quick map, which has been causing quite a stir. And now, whether this map is real or not, where is my map? Oh, here it is. So this map. Now, we live here in the center of this pond. This is the one I just showed you. And then we have that other ring around us. And then you have all of this area. And then there's other ponds, which are tens of thousands of miles away, 100,000 miles away, 200,000 miles away, whatever. Not light years. Light years are insanity. Okay. And so all of this is here across the Earth plane. Right. Now, here's the question. Some Bible people will say, the Earth is all there is. Well, I don't necessarily buy that, and why not have other ponds? And is this an accurate map? Is it a possibility map? I don't know. The answer is, why don't we have the right to explore our world? Antarctica is off limits. In 1959, the Antarctic Treaty went into effect. And all the countries in the world that are fighting for resources, after Admiral Byrd came back, said there's more land bigger than the United States beyond the poles. That's a problem. Beyond the South Pole, that's filled with resources that no human has ever stepped foot upon. There's nothing other than resources there and no people. Well, what's wrong with that? Let's go fuel the whole world. And they're like, nope. Every country in the world ends up signing this treaty. Nobody can go there. You can't question it until the year 2041. Okay. All of the countries in the world that are fighting over resources find resources that nobody's claimed, that there's no indigenous life, there's no animals, there's nothing. And they say, we can't go there because we have to keep the ice pristine and we have to protect the penguins that are supposedly there. Okay. Makes no sense. So all we're asking for is the right to go explore.
So we're 20 years away from that. But let me ask. So my next question obviously is, so let's say we go to what we consider outer space. We go to the moon, right? So we've been to the moon, question mark.
We have.
And from the moon, we look at the Earth and the Earth looks like a globe. Are those, why? What are we looking at? Oh, what's this?
Well, I'm just showing you, just ridiculous. This is a movie set. And then I'm going to show you real footage of what they showed us of men on the moon. It's absolute insanity. We've never been to the moon. The whole, Antarctica Treaty, we discovered incredible things in Antarctica. They go, Antarctic Treaty, don't look there. We're going to the moon. And we went to the moon 6 times in the 1960s with a Nintendo powering a Game Boy powering the space thing. And now we can't go again. Absolute insanity. This is real moon footage. This is ridiculous. Okay. This is a backdrop. Okay. He's hanging from wires. It's absolute insanity what they show us. He dropped his hammer and he can't pick it up because the balloon that he's hanging from on this giant set isn't letting him get down. So he's trying to get down and he can't get it. Right. The whole moon thing is absolute insanity. Next time, every month for a week or so, the moon is in our day sky. Look at it. You'll see blue sky behind it. You'll see blue sky through it. Okay. And ask yourself, what the hell is going on here?
Well, that's the reflection of water, right, on the atmosphere. That's what I was taught as a kid, I believe.
The reflection of water.
The reflection of water on the atmosphere, right? Is that
but why is the moon in front of that? How come we're seeing a moon, which is 250,000 miles away? How come we're seeing it? Absolute insanity. And the brightness of the moon, on a full moon night, you can read by it. You can drive your car with the lights off in the middle of nowhere. But how's this dusty, dirty ball reflecting light so bright that it makes it all the way to Earth? And as light travels, it spreads out and gets thinner and thinner rapidly. It's called the inverse square law of light. Every time you double the distance to a light, it's 1/4 of the brightness. So that would mean if the full moon that we see is 1 lumen, if I went halfway to the moon, it's 4 lumens, halfway again, it's 16, halfway again, it's 64. If I did that all the way until we're 100 miles from the moon, the brightness from 100 miles from the moon would be 64 times brighter than we see the sun from Earth. It would have to be that bright for us to see it. Let's just talk before we get into the flights. Let's just go back to the distances. I was showing you that map where, these other lands, extraterrestrials, are just a couple thousand miles away, tens of thousands, which is nothing. So let's talk about stars for a minute. So what are stars and how can we see them? So they tell us our sun is 93 million miles away, which is 8 light minutes. So it takes light 8 minutes to get to us from the sun. It also takes a photon 1 billion years to make it from the center of the sun to the outside of the sun. Right? This is what they tell us. And people go, oh, yeah, that's cool. Right? Absolute insanity. If the sun was right next to the Earth and you look up at the sky, it would fill the whole sky. You move it 93 million miles away, it gets smaller due to perspective. At 93 million miles away, which is 8 light minutes, it's the size of a coin held at arm's length. Okay? These are observations. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would it get? Most people say, well, a lot smaller, too small to see. Other people say, well, it'd be half the size. Well, the first one was right. But let's go 24 times farther. 24 times farther, it's provably too small to see. Your eye can't resolve it, just like it couldn't resolve that boat. And the light, the inverse square law, is a whole nother issue. Right. We'll just ignore that. We'll just talk angular size. 24 times away, it's scientifically provable, too small to see. Okay. 24 times 8 minutes is 3 light hours. 3 light hours away, we cannot see the sun. Let's compare that to a star. Our North Star, they tell us, is 46, 48 times bigger. We'll round up, say 48. 48 times 3 light days is 3 light hours is 6 light days. Let's round up to a week. If Polaris, at the size that they tell us, was a light week away, 1 week, it's way too small to see. Ignoring the inverse square law issue. At a week, they tell us it's 433 light years away. Not light hours, not light weeks, not like months, light years. Your brain should short circuit now because you can't process these numbers.
Did you see the smoke coming out? Okay.
Yeah. But they didn't teach us to deal with numbers like that. The closest star is 4.5 light years, which is 25 trillion miles. Okay, 25 trillion miles doesn't sound bad. We're twice that in debt. It can't be that far. How long is 1 trillion seconds? A trillion has 12 zeros. 1 with 12 zeros. How long is a trillion seconds? Take a guess. I'll give you a Bitcoin if you guess it within a week.
5 years.
Oh, very close. 31,000 years. Okay. 31. Think about this. 1 trillion seconds. Let it sink in. A second. Tick, tick, tick. 31,000 years. So if you want to go to Alpha Centauri, I put you in a rocket ship. You're traveling at a mile per second, which is faster than anyone's ever gone. You travel for 31,000 years, and you look and go, "Are we there yet?" No, you got to do that 24 more times to get to the closest star. And you believe that our eye could see that light, the angular size, the brightness, all of that. People go, well, the light's been traveling for billions of years. The star could be burnt out already. Cool story, bro. Okay. None of that is true. It's all made up, provably incorrect pseudoscience.
So what are the stars? Because we see stars. There's something twinkling out there.
You mean like this? This is Capella. Okay. You can see this with your naked eye. Zoom in with a super zoom camera, even a pair of binoculars. This is what you're going to see. Does that look like a burning ball of gas? Wait, first, a burning ball of gas in a space vacuum. Where can you have gas in a vacuum? Scientifically impossible. In a lab, and nowhere ever could you have high pressure next to low pressure without a physical barrier. What is this? Right? If you look at that's Capella. Here's the star Sirius, right? Has kind of like a different personality there, a different look, right? Here is here's something NASA shows us, right? They show us this. This is where stars are born. This is a nebula, right? We were shown this in school. They tell us it's dust and gas that's making new stars in a vacuum. Dust and gas in a vacuum making new stars. Like when it spits out a star, what does the star like run away and go, okay, I'm going to go plant myself out here? Ridiculous. This is stuff that they put in our minds, and then people that can regurgitate it. Oh, yes. Well, it's so big, it's collapsing in on itself, and it's making nuclear furnaces. And what's to stop them all from just recombining? You make two stars. Why wouldn't they just merge into one? Why didn't this whole thing collapse onto itself? You don't know astrophysics. Where did you get your degree? Right? I'm not an indoctrinated, astrophysicist clown. I'm not. Are all the other scientists in the world lying? What scientists? Name one. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the world wrestler, failed actor, accused rapist. Bill Nye, the failed comedian. Okay? These are spokesclowns. Neil deGrasse Tyson says the earth is spinning and the water bulges at the equator 14 miles high. 14 miles high. It's higher than Mount Everest. 14 miles high. An airplane only flies 5 miles high, about. So when you fly from Toronto to Santiago, at what point do you triple your altitude just to skim over a hump of water at the equator?
Well, that's where they disappear into the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, no, that's where rockets disappear into. Okay. All the launches.
So let me go back a step. What is the star? What is the star then? What are we seeing in the sky? Or have you gotten into that at all yet?
So again, nobody is any of the luminaries in the sky other than known things like airplanes and balloons,
right?
Are luminaries. It's the only thing you can say. They're lights in the sky. We don't know what they are, but we can identify them by the way they look. These are different stars. Okay. They look different. Some are in focus, some aren't. But they all have their own cymatic energies. I believe we live in an enclosed, for lack of a better word, system where everything is alive in the heavenly realm above us, the physical realm here, and the more dense realm below us. And we're part of this living system. And, and understanding where you are and your position in this realm helps you take back your God-given power. This place was created for us. And once you unplug from the heliocentric matrix, like Neo did in the Matrix, he's unplugging from the heliocentric matrix, which is a prison for your mind. It says, hey, there's no more. Remember the Truman Show? I want to be an explorer. And she goes, sorry, Truman, there's nothing else to discover. Well, that's not true. There's more here within our pond. There's more beyond our pond. Okay. There's so much more to this world, and all of our history is a lie beyond what you can even fathom. Okay. Let's do airplanes, and then
let's do airplanes, and then I have one big question at the end.
And then I'm going to show everybody where to find this information, because if you Google any of it, you're going to get fed nonsense. Your brain's going to get tired. You're going to get confused. You're going to give up, and you're going to be stuck in your prison. And then you're going to say, "Well, flat Earth is stupid. Flat tard this, flat tard that." And all of the trolls that show up in your chat, they're going to go look at their channels, empty channels, no videos, no subs, and they will never offer a globe proof. They will only say, Dave's a scam artist. He's trying to sell you a $3 app. Dave, it's just like crazy stuff.
Listen, regardless of whether it's flat Earth, sports, politics, that's all the negative comments are always coming from those people. So we're not concerned with those people.
Well, I'm not concerned with them. They just prove the point better. I call those channels the globe proof channels because they have nothing on them. Okay. So here we are. Antarctica is at the bottom, and you can kind of see through my green, Canada's green, so you can see through it. Okay, so here's the equator. If you were a pilot and you were going in the northern hemisphere, from any location in the north to any other location in the north, any combination, make up 1 million combinations, any airport in the north to another northern airport would you ever need to go below the equator?
No.
You're absolutely right. And no plane ever does. Very good. How about if we moved you into the southern hemisphere and you're going from any southern airport to any other southern airport? Would you ever need to go above the equator?
No.
Correct. However, that's not what happens. In our world, in southern flights cross the equator many times. Okay. This flight goes from Santiago to Johannesburg, goes all the way up to all the way up here to Senegal, and then back down. The equator is like here, right? Right. Why is it going all the way up? If you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's a straight line.
To go straight line.
It's a straight line on a flat Earth map. All right. Let's look at another one. Okay. Now, if we had if we looked at the latitudes here, and we found in the north equal north latitudes, why don't they go down and back up? They don't. They just go straight across, right? People say, well, they got to pick up other passengers. Nonsense. Nonsense. All right. Here's another one. This one goes all the way up and then all the way back down. Look at this ocean it went over. People say, well, they don't want to cross over the ocean. It's about the same distance. And everybody wants to go here. Okay. But if you look, it's a straight line. Stop here for some fuel. Okay, let's do another one. Goes all the way up to Los Angeles and then all the way back down. Why doesn't it just cut across here? This looks even shorter than that.
Right.
Flat Earth. What? Straight line. Okay, there's tons of these, but you know what makes it even more, the one that kicks it home for me is many times on airplanes, there's emergencies that happen. And the plane needs to land immediately. Someone's having a baby, heart attack. Okay. So here we have a flight from New York to Hawaii, and somebody had an emergency about here, and they decided to land in Seattle, which is almost 1,000 miles out of the way. From the time the emergency happened to the time they landed, it was like 15 minutes or something. How did they go 1,000 miles in 15 minutes? Why did they go there? And if you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's because it's right on their flight path. Okay. Let's look at another one. Right. Here's another one. Went way out of the way to Moscow, over 1,000 miles. Moscow, directly on their flight path. Right. Here's another one. This one, Dallas to Beijing, goes all the way up to Calgary. It's up near you. Why did they go that far out of the way? It's because it's not. It's right on their flight path.
Now, if you question this, what are the answers you get?
No answers. You get nothing. And also, don't believe me because I just showed you a bunch of memes. Okay? There's a book made by Flat Earth Banjo, USA Japan YouTube channel. My friend Eddie. This is a book. It's free online, PDF, or you can order it from lulu.com. 16 emergency landings proving flat Earth. All of the information, the flight paths, the time, the news stories, the coordinates, all of it documented on 16 landings that absolutely prove the Earth is flat. How come this never happens in the North? How come in the North they don't, cut down to the South, and in the South they do? That only works in a flat Earth.
All right. So I've got flat Earth, Dave. Just to reiterate, if you can prove that the Earth is a globe, 3 Bitcoin?
3 Bitcoins. Right? So
3 Bitcoin.
This is how it works. So this is my app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Horrible name to remember, but you can find everything, all my links, everything at flatearthdave.com. Right? Every day there's a new featured video right here. You tap this. This one's on eclipses, actually. I just made it, just produced. This came out today. It's the day that we're recording this. Tap on that, watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. Just when you're having your breakfast, watch one video a day. You hate flat Earth, that's fine. For 2 weeks while you're having your breakfast, and then send me your glow proof. You win 3 Bitcoins. I think it's worth the investment, right?
Absolutely. So here's the big question.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. So when you have your question, you have to hit the frequently asked questions button, and up comes this page. Hey, what about eclipses? What about ships over the horizon? What about seasons, right? If I hit, what about tides, right? I'll click what about tides, and up comes a playlist that Google won't serve you, explaining what's going on here, right? And again, don't believe these videos. They've done the work for you. You could go, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, what they're saying now I see. Or like I did, I'm like, boats over the horizon. I was like, let me, I saw all these videos, and these videos really document it. But then I went out and got my own camera and did it myself, because I'm not going to just believe. This is earth shaking, even though, the earth doesn't move. So all of the information's in there. There's tons and tons and tons of information in here from other topics too, like Tataria, mud floods. I don't know if you looked into that yet. All sorts of stuff. One of my favorites right here: rockets are balloons. Rockets are balloons. Did you know that NASA owns all the helium companies in the world and uses more helium than everyone else in the world combined?
I did not know that. I know that we had a helium shortage last summer.
NASA creates the helium shortage. They don't want us having dirigible airships, right? They demonized hydrogen with the Hindenburg, which is a false flag. And they basically stopped us from having airships, because airships, maybe you can go explore where they don't want you to go explore. So, and then also, when you're high up in an airship, how come the earth isn't spinning out from underneath you? Lots of stuff, tons and tons of stuff, books, kids' books, all sorts of stuff. Here's the book that shows that multi-pond map, all sorts of stuff. Here's the 16 emergency landings. I recommend the Iron Republic, a fantastic book about people living in the outer lands and that left here in the 1600s because of tyranny. Imagine that, tyranny, and then going to new lands where there is no tyranny. Maybe that's a reason they're lying to us, right? Tons of stuff, different languages, homeschool section, all sorts of stuff. The app is $3, right? And also you have the friend finder, right? So,
and we can use the barcode or the QR code here on the screen.
You can scan that, yeah. Or if you're unable to scan it because you're on a phone, just go to flatearthdave.com. All the links are there. There's also a fake app that's not mine, that's on Google Play. If you get that, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks, because my app is one of the highest rated apps in both stores. But on the friend finder, you can tap on any one of these dots and send them a message, right? You can receive messages, but if you want to send messages, there's a subscription. It's $11 a year. You bought me a margarita for a year. Okay, that's it. But you don't have to subscribe. But if you want to see other people's profiles or fill out a profile, you have to be a subscriber. It keeps the trolls away. I couldn't make it any cheaper, and it's super cheap. But I can also, that circle you see here is 50 kilometers. I can send a group message to 375 people saying, hey, we're having a meetup at Rico's Bar and Grill Saturday, 4 p.m., 123 Main Street, and people come. Hundreds of people come. It's phenomenal, and it's a great way. People are already getting married. People are finding jobs, right? Because, flat earthers could work for anybody, but we only hire flat earthers.
So here's the one last big question.
Go.
So we're going to end it on this one.
Yes.
And it's a big one. I know that we've run a little bit over time, but it's a big question, so it needs to be answered. Why? Why this lie? Why this hiding of this? Why this conspiracy? Why not just say, hey, the earth is flat and here's how it works? Why create this globe and say we've been to space, and why?
Very good question. Excellent question. And that's the question that you have when all of your things that you thought, boats over the horizon, this, that, Aristophanes with the sticks and shadows. And then you go, why? All right, fine. Why?
I did see that, the sticks and shadows. I was going to ask you, but yeah, you already talked about it. So
the big sticks and shadows works perfect on a flat earth. Get 3 beer bottles, put them 3 feet apart each, and then hold a light over the center one. The one on the left is going to have a shadow going left. The one on the right is going to have a shadow going to the right. And the one that you're over is not going to have a shadow at all. Okay. That means what? That your floor is a sphere? No, you just don't understand what you're looking at. So why the lie? And
mine does bubble a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I got to get my guys back in and renovate it, but that's a story for another day.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So why?
So why the lie? And the truth is, I used to be an atheist. I never called myself an atheist, but I believed in evolution, the whole ridiculous story, nothing created everything. And then lightning struck and created an amoeba, turned into a fish, climbed out of the water, found another sexy fish, had a monkey. The monkey had a retarded baby who was a human. Okay. Absolute insanity. Okay. Absolute stupid insanity. But I believed it all, because what else? I didn't believe a big man in the sky or anything. And I'm not even saying I believe in a big man in the sky. But when I discovered that this earth is intelligently designed, It put me in a position like, wow, what else is going on that I'm not seeing? What else are they hiding from me? In school, they tell us we use 10% of our brain. That's the goal of school. They don't want us using our higher mind, our pineal gland, our connection to nature, our connection to source. They don't want us using our higher mind functions because that will challenge their authority. They need us learning accounting and management and marketing and all these things to make us good little worker slaves for their corporations, right? They don't want us realizing that nobody has control over us. They don't want us knowing the only control anyone has over you is in your imagination. Absolutely true. Imagine everyone in the world saw this podcast tonight and goes, you know what? Dave's right. No longer going to pay attention to governments. Governments dissolve. We don't even know who they are anymore. They just disappear instantly. Okay. When this goes mainstream, everything changes in this world. Why am I talking about flat earth, right? Because this is the lie that they get away with all of the other nonsense. If you're spinning out of control, lost in space, don't know who you are, you're afraid that an asteroid's going to take us out, you're afraid of nuclear bombs, by the way, which don't exist. If you're afraid of all of this stuff, they're steering your mind with the news, with fear, north, east, west, south, news, fear, false evidence appearing real. They're using that for you to willingly give away your free will. Yes, protect me, Mr. Government. Take my rights away, lock me up, do this, do that. They don't want you to know who you are, where you are, what you are. They don't want you to know in a position where you have no choice but to accept that there is a creator. Now, who that creator is to you, I tell everyone that's your own journey. That's a personal journey. No one, I'm not saying anyone's wrong or anyone's right. It's your journey with the creator is your own journey. So when you're here and you understand who you are, where you are, and that your mind has power, that your thoughts actually create reality, everything changes. Everything changes for you. People say, I still have to go to work, right? I said the same exact thing. I went to college, corporate America, left corporate America, started my own company, CEO of my own company, right? I made a vision board years ago, and I was like, that's cool. I don't know if I totally believe it. And I put all this stuff on it. And one thing I put on it, I worked for a corporation at the time. I want to be the CEO of my own company. And I kind of giggled to myself because I was like, I don't know how to start a company. I don't even know what a CEO does. Right. And then 5 years later, I found myself in my office of my own company balancing the books. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the CEO of my own company. Right. So, and then I discovered flat earth and all of this stuff. And I realized how important this is, how important this message is, how this is the one that will wake people up. I've woken people up to all of the other things, all of the stuff. New York, Boston, Connecticut, all of them. And people just go right back to sleep. And then when you wake them up to this, everything changes because it's like unplugging from the matrix. The matrix is the heliocentric system. Look at Neo at the beginning of the matrix. He's depressed. He's plugged into the matrix. He's lost. He doesn't know what's going on. And then look at Neo at the end of the matrix where he's unplugged. It doesn't matter the condition of the world. He's taken his power back. He could fly, right? Put those two together. Which one's the real man? Which one is awake and aware and has taken back his God-given reality? And look what the other one is trapped in a prison. Doesn't know it. It's prison for his mind. Go watch The Matrix again, everybody. And then go watch Idiocracy, because that's where we are right now. We're in the middle of the movie Idiocracy. So why does it matter? This is the most important thing ever. If you're spinning out of control, lost in space, how are you ever going to make a proper decision? How are you ever, a lot of people do well in this world. They're like, okay, I got a good job. I'm making money. I'm having fun. But you're missing out. You're missing out. There's so much more right here in front of us, right? All of our history is a lie. Anything before in the 1800s and before is all completely different than they told us. And they don't want us to know the amazing world, free world that was here before. Free energy, unlimited food, and they tell us we're overpopulated. Nonsense. Every family in the world could live in Australia at the size they tell us it is, and half of Australia would be empty. Right? Every family in America could have a half an acre in Texas, and Texas would still have empty land. Okay. It's all nonsense, right? We're having a food shortage. Baloney. You can take a 50-year-old seed and stick it in the ground. Water will fall from the sky and food will grow out of the ground. Okay. We're running out of water. Nonsense. There's infinite water below us and infinite water above us. There's no shortages on anything, but that's where they want us living in fear. Because when you're in fear, it affects everything. It affects your health. It affects your lifespan. It affects it affects your ability to manifest. If you're living in fear, you don't manifest as well. Maybe you do okay. Everything you have in your life, everything you have in your room, you manifested with your thoughts. Okay. So when you talk to flat earthers, every dot on that chart I showed you, every person there, when you're a flat earther, is your best friend. Anyone you meet, best friend, right? Romantic friend, best friend, doesn't matter. Everyone. It's truly amazing. And the one thing a couple things we have in common, we're never in fear, because all fear is just false evidence appearing real. We're never bored, even for a second, ever. Doesn't matter if we have insomnia at 3 o'clock in the morning or stuck in traffic for 10 hours. There's always something to talk about, think about, learn. And so those are the mind killers, fear and boredom. And what was the other thing? I don't know. I forget the other one, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like we
get the app and you'll find out what the third one is.
So yeah, so the app is phenomenal. Listen, don't get the app. Just go to flatearthdave.com. Take the challenge there. There's it's called the Flat Earth Crash Course, and it's a list of full-length videos, which are also in the app. And just turn off Netflix for a week, and guess what? You'll cancel Netflix, because guess what? Stick your head out the window. The world is far more interesting than Netflix, right? And once you know what you're seeing, once you go out there and go, that building was built in the 1800s. Are you frigging kidding me? Every city has buildings that we couldn't build today. That's supposedly built when we had horses and buggies and hemp ropes, right? Yeah. No cranes. Absolute insanity. And I say that a lot. People criticize. You always say absolute insanity. I don't know a better way to say it, because heliocentrism is nuts. But those of you that are reacting gutturally and like, this is stupid, I hate this, ask yourself, what's your best globe proof? And then check the app to make sure it's a globe proof, because it's not, because there's none. I still have my Bitcoins. I've been offering them for years.
Interesting. So listen, thank you for your time. We're definitely going to have you back, because I've got about another 15 questions. So we're going to have you back. It's Flat Earth Dave Weiss, flatearth.com.
Flat Earth Dave, flatearthdave.com.
Did I not say, I said flatearth.com? I apologize. Yes. Flatearthdave.com. Don't go somewhere else, because flatearth.com is probably going to take you to somewhere you don't want to go.
Absolutely.
Flatearthdave.com. And look, this is the story of Flat Earth, and now you're more fluent in it.
There you go. Thanks, everybody.